Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Lost in Dead Space, and this time around I'm not just welcoming you guys back, but I'm also welcoming myself back. New location, new equipment, a thinner me, but one thing that has never changed is my gratitude to all of you guys out there. Thank you so much for sticking with me during this lull period, and thank you to all of you new subscribers that have subbed to me during this time as well. Anyways, just as I promised to one of my cherished subscribers, today's video is going to be about the best FPS games that came out between the years of 2008 and 2013. As I was gathering the info for this video, I really came to love this time-specific period. We will get to see a lot of games that never got the love that they deserved or just got completely overshadowed by better games during their release. So just to throw in some ground rules for this video, and to add in as much games as possible, I decided that any multi-release games in a specific series will be added as one entry. The exception, of course, are any sequels that are so completely different from the first title that they deserve their own placement. And also, this is easily the hardest video I've ever had to make when it comes to ranking one game over the other. The years 2008 to 2013 were pretty fire. There's just so many gems in this time period, and it was super hard for me to get my personal biases out of the way. But I think I did a good job. One last thing, before we start, I wanted to throw in one honorable mention, that game being Star Wars Battlefront 2. There's many reasons why this game is not in this list, one being that it was released back in 2004, and we're only discussing games from 2008 to 2013. But as I was creating this list, it was just a game that I thought needed the shout out. It was always foreshadowed by other games like the masterpiece Half-Life 2, but it in its own right was a masterpiece. It was a part of that beautiful era in gaming where developers would add in as much features as possible to make that game as juicy as it could be. This game had so many features that were not necessary, but added so much more to the experience. Things like galactic conquest, the inclusion of almost every planet in this fictional universe, both in space and on the ground. It had that 120% effort put into it that you just don't see in games nowadays. And not to mention, I spent countless hours on this game as a kid, so I thought it was more than deserving of a little shout out. Anyways, let's move into the actual video. Starting off at number 13, we have Metro 2033 and Metro Last Light. Released back in 2010 and in 2013, the world of Metro will never let you forget that you are in a nuclear apocalypse. The scarcity of food, supplies, having to choose between having enough ammo to kill your enemies or to eat, this game emphasizes survival in a nuclear war. With lots of crazy creatures to fend off, and the presence of fascist parties prevalent in World War II, makes for a very interesting experience. As great as this game was, for me personally, every time I played it, it just made me want to play Fallout or Stalker. I don't know if it's just because I played those games before Metro or just because those games were better. I'm just curious, is this also something you guys deal with, or is this just my crazy brain in action? However, Metro Exodus, which cannot be listed in this because it was released in 2019, did a much better job of distinguishing itself as its own game. That being said, those are the only criticisms I have about this game. These games are very good, and I'm a sucker for post-nuclear apocalyptic scenarios. And these games definitely hit the spot, and I'm glad we finally got to put some spotlight on these games. But moving on from there, at number 12 we have BioShock 2, released back in 2010. What felt like an unnecessary remake of the remarkable original gradually turned into one of the most memorable and emotional shooters to date. Instead of just following the steps of the first game, BioShock 2 made you see Rapture in a whole new lens. It made you feel the pain of the peoples whose life were ruined by Andrew Ryan's dream. The game takes place in the breathtaking underwater city of Rapture, which is still top 3 coolest places in video game worlds ever. The early 1900s themed futuristic underwater metropolis was a spectacular experience. Not to mention the unique gameplay mechanics of being a big daddy. They took the concept of BioShock 1 and somehow managed to repackage it in a way where it felt fresh. I still prefer the first game over this one, but this game is easily one of my favorites, and it's another game that didn't get as much love as it deserved. And with the confirmation of the new BioShock game in development, I really hope we return to Rapture or another equally as amazing atmosphere. And speaking of BioShock, at number 11 we have BioShock Infinite. BioShock Infinite takes you out of Rapture and into the clouds. The combat doesn't stray too far from the original, but it does add a couple of twists to make it feel fresh. And it's still a blast to absolutely dominate everyone in your path with crazy plasmids and wacky steampunk 50 vibes guns. This game is not nearly as breathtaking for me as Rapture was, but for a lot of people they really like the aesthetic of being in the Sky City. And I agree, it's really cool, but for some reason it's just that underwater feel, it hits different. I don't know. It just didn't feel like a BioShock game to me. But anyways, enough of me bitching about this game. This game is actually really good. The writing for this game is phenomenal. There's a lot of pieces to this game that are very well done and will stick out when you play this game. If it was up to me, I would have Infinite under BioShock 2, but hey, I'm trying to appeal to as much people as possible. Anyways, moving on to number 10. We have Battlefield 3. Battlefield has always been devoted to large sprawling multiplayer battles with more combatants than most games will allow. Battlefield always hinted at the confusion and disorientation of war, much more than its competition Call of Duty. Battlefield 3 was more than just a military sandbox, and less of a confined scripted military movie style game like Call of Duty was. And Battlefield 3 is what I would believe the best example of these games. The gaming experience you get with Battlefield is completely different and unique to any other game. You really feel the impact of your team. If you play selfishly, your team is going to lose, which is very opposite to how Call of Duty is. A lot of people preferred these games over Call of Duty. Me personally, I was always a Call of Duty fanboy, and I never really gave Battlefield 3 the time that it deserved. Nonetheless, this game is fantastic. You really couldn't ask for more in a Battlefield game. Number 9, I have slotted in Bulletstorm. This game has everything in it that a man would want in a video game. Crude humor, explosions, action, great writing, and fun as hell game mechanics. This is one of the most overlooked video games in gaming history. And with the Bulletstorm full clip edition just releasing, there's no better time to go back and play this game or play it for the first time. Voice acting to plot twist to action to game mechanics, this game is a step above most FPS games. And if you like Gears of War but you wish it played better, this is the game for you. Now at number 8, we have the PlayStation exclusive Killzone 2. The hype around this game was immense, and just like with Elden Ring, the game did not fall short, meeting or even surpassing everyone's hype. Killzone 2 is a spectacular entry into video game history, a bullet and adrenaline-fueled rampage against an implacable enemy. Themes of fascism and militaristic aggression, revenge, and the cost of war is rampant throughout the entire title. There's some dips here and there throughout the story, but for the most part, the game holds up. Fighting a losing battle against aliens and your fellow humans is a strong notion throughout the entire game, and you feel the weight of loss in this game. The developers really made you feel like you were in a war zone, and I've not played many games like it. This was a slam dunk FPS game, cherished by many, looked over by most, and I hope we get more Killzone games in the future. Like, what the hell is going on with that title? I've not heard anything about it in 10 years or so. Anyways, at number 7, we have Far Cry 3, easily Ubisoft's best game. So completely different from Far Cry 2, and in the best way possible. The writing for this game is spectacular. The main villain, Voss, is one of the most rememberable villains of all time. When it comes to gameplay, leveling up, crafting new materials, everything in this game is addicting and rewarding. This game revolutionized what you can do in video games, and unfortunately, Ubisoft has never even come close to recreating what they did with Far Cry 3. The game was so great that even the DLCs like Blood Dragon are among one of my favorite gaming experiences to this date. If you haven't played this game, which I doubt you haven't, please pick it up. It's a fantastic experience. Now we're entering the top 6, and this is where the video became very difficult for me to rate. At number 6, I have Left 4 Dead 2 and Left 4 Dead 1. Valve seems to be that one company that can never do anything wrong, and this is prevalent with the 2 releases of Left 4 Dead. Valve's presence in the early 2000s crafted video games down a path of polish and creativity. Left 4 Dead 2 is really hard to separate from its predecessor. There was only 1 year apart from them, and despite new characters, new modes, and new enemies, Left 4 Dead 2 wasn't as important or as groundbreaking as the original, but Left 4 Dead 2 is basically just a full release DLC of the first game. These games are interchangeable, and they are beloved by many. I don't know about you guys, and this might trigger you, but me personally, I never really got into these games that much. I couldn't play for more than like 2 hours at a time. I don't know what it was. I didn't play them when they first came out. That might have been a big issue, but I always, if I wanted to play a zombie game, I would much rather play Dead Rising or Resident Evil. I don't know. Do you guys not also like Left 4 Dead? I don't hate it. It's just like, I don't know. Let me know down in the comments below if you feel about Left 4 Dead. And trust me, guys, I'm a Valve dick sucker. But when it came to these games, it was just I don't know. Whatever. Anyways, These games are revolutionary and they deserve its acclaim. And just because I didn't like it does not mean that I did not put it in the right spot. People would probably put it at number 1, but I'm not going to do that. Anyways, moving on, we're going to number 5. At much lower than I would like to put it at, I have Borderlands 1 and 2. Borderlands 1 and 2 are very different from each other, but they're basically the same game. Both games, in my opinion, are masterpieces and are in my top 20 games of all time. But throwing personal bias aside, these games just slap. I don't know what you want me to tell you. They slap. The first embodiment of a perfect loot and shoot video game. Borderlands is an experience you can't get anywhere else, and for God's sakes, just don't play Borderlands 3. Just play these two. Play these two, enjoy it, throw Borderlands 3 in the trash. Humor, story, atmosphere, gameplay, everything is top notch. If you never played these games, I highly recommend you do. And honestly, you probably already have. And moving on to number 4, I have Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. For a lot of people, this is the quintessential FPS game. Infinity Ward created one of the most popular, well-crafted, and subsequently intimated first-person shooters of all time. Modern Warfare 2 aimed to be bigger, sexier, and filled with more explosions than any Call of Duty previous. And it's not just the multiplayer that made this game fantastic, but also the effort and time that Call of Duty used to put in their campaigns. We all still remember missions like No Russian, conflicts between what was more than just good guy versus bad guy. There was a time where Call of Duty just kept producing better and better video games. And Modern Warfare 2 was right there in the middle of the Call of Duty Goldilocks zone. And a lot of people to this day still think that this is the best Call of Duty game that's been released. Finally, we are at the top 3. This is going to be a long video for me to edit. At number 3, we have Halo Reach. Halo Reach took everything that Halo 3 was and just expanded upon it. It was my personal favorite Halo game, and it was unfortunately Bungie's last created Halo, but they sure did leave with a damn banger. I didn't have internet back when Halo 3 came out, but I damn sure did when Reach came out. Adding thousands of small details like allowing players to customize their own suit of Spartan armor, to the many different rememberable maps, to the stellar campaign, Halo Reach delivered in every single asset. Another reason why I love this specific time frame for video games is because we get to throw the spotlight on games that usually get overshadowed by others, and this is definitely one of them. Everyone talks about Halo 3, Halo 2, Halo 1, blah blah blah. Halo Reach slaps. End of conversation. And I'm glad I finally get to throw the spotlight on it. And that's no cap. Anyways, moving on to number 2, we have Fallout 3/Fallout New Vegas. I've never been more addicted to a video game in my entire life than when I was playing Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. Both of these games are very simply the best games that have ever been created. Fallout 3 and New Vegas are both very similar, yet completely different at the same time. Fallout New Vegas being my actual favorite video game of all time, and Fallout 3 being my second favorite video game of all time. This is the quintessential moment in Bethesda history for me. We had Fallout 3, then New Vegas came out, and then 2 years later, Skyrim came out. To say I put more than 20,000 hours into Bethesda games is an understatement. And when people talk about FPS games, it infuriates me when people do not mention these masterclass games. When we're talking about story, gameplay mechanics, addictiveness, perfectly crafted level design, these games are a step above anything else in my eyes. But when we're talking about what are the best FPS games, the ones that revolutionized the FPS gaming industry as a whole, there is one title that sits above the rest. And at number 1, did you think it would be anything else? It's Call of Duty Black Ops 1 and 2. The one game in history that no matter how many people talk it up, it's still underrated. Call of Duty Black Ops 1 was a Richter scale 10 earthquake to the FPS gaming industry. And you can thank Black Ops for the reason why all FPS games are the way they are nowadays. And Black Ops 2 was just a more refined and perfectly tuned up version of Black Ops 1. The story, everything about Black Ops 1 was amazing. It even got Game of the Year in almost every single category in 2010. As much as I love Fallout, I would have been a damn fool if I did not put Call of Duty Black Ops as the king of FPS games. And not just for 2008 to 2013, I'm talking of all time. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you again for sticking with me while I was moving across country. I love making videos for you guys, and I will continue to do so. But my release schedule may be all over the place. I've never been consistent. I keep telling you, I keep giving you like promises and shit. I'm gonna stop doing that. I'm going to keep releasing videos. I don't know when. It could be every week for a couple of months. It could be every 2 weeks. It could be once every 2.5 weeks. I don't know. It's gonna happen. I'm gonna release them. And if my channel does take off, I will make it more of a priority to get more and more out. And if I can make this a full-time job, then you can expect a very regular schedule. And until I can make the YouTube my full-time job, I don't see me being able to do much more than this and to be able to actually enjoy my life. So I hope you guys understand. I'm not going anywhere. I just want you to know that other videos will be coming out. I just don't know when. It'll definitely be, I'll try to get at least 2 out a month. Let's just say that. Anyways, thank you guys once again. If you want to see any more videos I've done, please click one of these, whatever. If you have any other suggestions for videos you want me to make, like this one was, please do send them in. One of the hardest parts of this channel is for me to come up with new ideas. I don't know. I have the creativity to make the scripts and stuff. I just can't come up with ideas. I don't know what it is. You guys can help me out there. That might actually decrease the amount of time it takes for me to make videos. Who knows? Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I love you all, and I'll see you all in that next